Hi, welcome back to the Power of Model Drawing. Alright, now today we are going to look at how we draw out fractions. Right, fractions is a very big part of model drawing. When you go to P4, P5, P6, you will definitely see fractions, and this is a very important, the beginning of the very important lesson on how to draw out fractions. So let's look at the first lesson on how we draw out fractions. Okay, now you have let's look at the first sentence. Alright, the first problem. Now Matthew has 5/9 as much money as Nancy. Now every time you see fraction, you need to do arrow pointing. So for this fraction, how do you do arrow pointing? The numerator points to the first person. So Matthew has 5 boxes and Nancy has 9 boxes. So this fraction refers to two different groups or two different person. Alright. So then continue. Nancy had thrice, 3 times of Perlin. Right, so Perlin has 1 time. Then Matthew has $268 more than Perlin. So how much do they have all together? Now it's hard to do mental, so you have to draw out the sentence one by one again. So if you look at the first sentence, Matthew has 5 boxes. So you draw a rectangle, cut into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Nancy has 9 boxes. All right, and all right, so you cut into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, so 5 boxes and 9 boxes. So you draw until the first sentence already. And then Nancy has 3 times of Perlin. So Nancy has 3 times of Perlin. So what do? If you look at Nancy, you can see there are 9 boxes, right? So how to count the 3 times? Well, if you are not sure how to count the 3 times, then you think also about whether can you cut into 3 groups. Right, 3 groups. For example, Nancy has 3 groups, and every group got 3 boxes. Am I correct? So you count the 3 groups, and now you have 3 times already. And then Perlin will have 1 time or 1 group. So this is your 1 time. And you also have to cut Perlin's rectangle into similar boxes. Right, cut the model into all equal size, equal boxes. All right. Then Matthew has $268 more than Perlin. Alright, so where do you put the $268 more? So you may want to use dotted line to help you. Alright, and Perlin's rectangle is until here, and this is your $268 more. Okay, alright, so that's how you cut into 3 times. Alright, 3 groups. Okay, so where are you now? You are until here already. So there's no solving, you are trying to draw the problem. So how much do they have all together, which is the total over here? And you can use the model to solve. Alright, now a good model doesn't need you to look at the problem again. You just have to study your model, and you look at the model and you can see that all the boxes here, you can call them all units. So all the boxes here are called units, and then you can see that Matthew has how many units more than Perlin? Matthew has 2 units more. So 2 units more is 268. So can you find 1 unit? So your 1 unit will be 268, and then you divide by 2. So your 1 unit is $134, right? And then you can find the total money they have all together. So you count all the units. So Matthew has 5 units, and Nancy has 9 units, and Perlin has 3 units. So altogether they will have 17 units. So 17 units will be how much? So you take 134 and you multiply by 17 to get the total money, and your answer will be $2,278. So that's how much they have all together. Alright, so over here, what's the lesson? When you see fractions, you have to draw arrow. Alright, arrow pointing. And if you want to cut into 3 times and you can't do that, think about whether can you cut into 3 groups. Okay, alright, let's go to another example. Now there are some green and blue buttons in the box. 2/9 of the buttons are blue. Alright, now this fraction refers to what, or what is it generally talking about? It's talking about the buttons, right? It's generally talking about the buttons. So this whole fraction is referring to the buttons. Then how do you break up? Now, so the buttons have altogether 9 boxes, and 2 boxes are blue. Okay, you can also say that 2/9 represent the blue buttons. You're right. But because you want to draw a model, right? So you also need to know the fraction refer to what generally, right? It refers to the buttons. Alright, now why do you want to do that? Because in some problems, you will have more than one fractions. And then you will have different fractions referring to different groups, different types of things. Then you have to be very careful. Alright, so that's why you need to know what each fraction refers to generally. So this 2 over 9 refers to what? The patterns in general. Okay, and then nine boxes belong to the patterns. I mean, 9 boxes is a total of all the patterns. So you can start to draw a rectangle, which is all the patterns cut into 9, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 2 boxes are blue. Okay, and you actually draw out the first sentence and the second sentence already. Right, the first sentence is a rectangle. Second sentence is to cut into 9 boxes and label 2 boxes. And and then there are, and if they are blue, then of course over here must be green. Right? So don't forget to label the other part of the model. Now there are 574 blue buttons, so you can put inside. So how many buttons or how many green buttons are there all together? And that's your model. It's a very simple model, parts whole model. Alright, now you have cut the rectangle into all equal boxes, so you can call them all units. And you can see there's a total of 9 units. And how many units are blue? So 2 units are blue. Alright, 2 units is equal to 574. So your 1 unit will be 574 divided by 2. So your 1 unit is 287, right? Then can you find how many green? So if you count the boxes, there are 7 units of green, right? So you take 287 and you multiply by 9. 287 times 9. Okay, 287 times 9, and you will get 2,583 green buttons. Okay, so it's a very simple model to draw. Alright, but again, the lesson is how do you interpret the fraction? Alright, and how do you draw the arrow? Alright, how do you break out the fraction? Alright, because you need to break up in order to draw the model. So you have to break up the numerator and the denominator. Okay, now let's quickly go to the last example. Okay, now question 3. Now you can see that in this question you have 2 fractions. So you have to be careful, because when there are 2 fractions, are they generally referring to the same group? Because if they are referring to the same group, you can add them, you can minus them, you can make the denominator the same, right? If they refer to the same group. So let's look at the fractions. Chef Tom had some flour. He used 1/3 of it to make some cupcakes. So what does this 1/3 generally refer to? It refers to it, right? Refers to it. So it refers to what? Some flour. Alright. And if you break up, what do you do? If you break up means what? It means you arrow point. So the denominator belongs to all the flour. So your rectangle will be all the flour that has 3 boxes. And 1 box is used to make cupcakes. Am I correct? Yep. And then he used 4/9 of it to make muffins. So the second fraction, what is it referring to generally? Now it's referring to it, which is the flour also. So which means that the 2 fractions are referring to the same group. So you can plus them, you can minus them, you can make the denominator the same. Alright, and let's break up because you need to draw the model. So all the flour, which is it, has 9 boxes now. And 4 boxes are used to make muffins. Okay, that's how you break out the fraction to draw the to do the arrow pointing. Now the total mass of flour used to make the cupcakes and muffins was 8.4 kg. So what was the mass of the flour Chef Tom had at first? Okay, now so once we know that the 2 fractions refer to the same group, we can make the 2 fractions to have the same denominator. Well, you tell me, Stong, can we don't draw the model, because I can just take 1 whole minus 1/3 and then minus 4/9. I just do the normal statements. I just write down the normal equations. Well, you can also do that, but because this is a model drawing lesson, so we will have to draw the model. Alright, and it's always better to draw the model because you can see everything clearly on the model. Alright, so we can make the denominator the same because the 2 fractions are referring to it, which is the flour. So 3 times 3 and 1 times 3, and you get 3/9. Okay, so which means that instead of saying he used 1/3, you can now replace it with 3/9, and the arrow pointing is still the same, right? So now you can start to draw the model. So all the flour has how many boxes? So all the flour will have 9 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 boxes, right? And he used 3 boxes to make cupcakes. So you label 3 boxes to make cupcakes. And then he used 4 boxes to make muffins, or 4 over 9. So this is your muffins. Alright? And then the total mass of the cupcakes and the muffins was 8.4 kg. So which means that all this, what is the mass of the flour? Which is 8.4 kg, right? Okay? Alright, so where are you now? You are until here. So you are adding on to your model. Whatever information that's in the problem, you just add on to your model. And what was the mass of flour that Chef Tom had at first? Well, where do you put the question mark? You can be creative and draw your 2 dotted lines, and this is where you put the question mark to find the mass of flour at first. And your model is done. Alright, so you look at the model, and again, you call the boxes. They are all equal, so you call them units. So how many units is 8.4? That will be 7 units, which is 8.4. So in this problem, you have to learn how to, or you should know how to divide decimal. So don't worry if you haven't learned decimal yet. The objective of the lesson is the model. Okay, so if you haven't learned decimal, how to divide decimal, it's okay. All right, you will wait until your school teacher has taught you, and then you can follow. But right now, the focus is on how you draw the model. So 8.4 divided by 7, and you will get 1 unit, which is 1.2 kg. Okay, so can you find the flour at first, which is a total of 9 units? So 1.2 and then times 9. So what is 1.2 times 9? And that will be 10.8 kg. So how much flour at first? So Chef Tom had 10.8 kg of flour at first. And that's how you interpret the fractions to draw the model. Okay, so the lessons on fractions, for the first few lessons on fractions are very important because it builds the foundation for you to draw even harder model or even harder problems with fractions later on. So you have to know, first of all, how to read fractions, how to look at fractions, and what do they refer to in general. All right, what do they refer to in general? And then you have to break up the fraction by doing arrow pointing, and then use that to draw your model. Okay, all right. So we come to the end of this this fraction lesson. And next week we will continue with some more. All right, some more model drawing on fractions. So see you next week.